Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday, May 19th edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. Like I said last time, I still want to say upstream marketing every time. As a reminder, as always, we do operate under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow attendees and speakers and generally be excellent to each other. I have put the notes doc into the chat and I'm going to do it again just in case. I don't know if that carries over when folks join. And I suppose we can go ahead and get started for today. Yeah, so the first thing that I put into updates and big wins is something that I wanted updates on that I don't think we have tracked well in the board yet, which is the Fastly dl.k8s.io comms. Federico, I saw that you've been chatting with them a little bit. I saw that there was a link to the blog post. Looks like they already have a strong draft there. What's going on? If you're on already, or we can come back to it. I think Federico might still be getting set up. Okay. I think we'll come back to that one then. The other one is also for someone who's not here, Avinash. Although, Fika, I know that you are interested in the events role. But since there's not really any contributor events that we're dealing with right now, because one responsibility of that role was to help out with things like the oh, all good, Frederica. We'll come back to you. No worries. The web client is a trip, isn't it? I have to use not the web client because my camera doesn't work with the web client. Fun fact. Anyway, sorry, Fika. I know you were interested in events, but that was mainly for like the contributor. Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay, so get out of this one. Yeah,
that was mainly the contributor.
There was, currently an update. So for the first time when I tried to join, it asked me to update the Zoom client, and I didn't have enough time to do it. So I tried the web one, and it was just lagging. So
it's special, isn't it?
You were asking me about the updates on that blog post. So yeah, I have a couple of initial comments. There are some parts of the document that are still marked as let's look at this later, work in progress, we'll add something here. So on top of some of the suggestions on the existing content, I also have some questions around that part needs to be either removed or filled. I haven't yet so I've asked for permissions to add the comments in the document file. I think that now I have them, but I've been working and I haven't been able to test it. That being said, I have my comments in a text file, so it's just a matter of going there and sharing them. And in the meantime, Tim, which will obviously be involved in the actual review process when we open the PR against the website, has already been involved as well, because he saw the email that the Slack threads that I opened in our comms channel. So maybe he also has some initial feedback to add. Either way, the information is there. I plan to add my comments sometime today, and we can on Monday, Tuesday perhaps we can have depending obviously on the changes that need to be made, but assuming that they are made, I guess that next week this can be opened in terms of the PR and we can follow the process there.
Excellent. So there's a draft already in progress. You've got your comments ready to go. You just got to get them added on there. And Tim Bannister is already aware, so it'll be made into a PR as soon as it's ready.
Exactly.
Summation? Cool. Thank you very much, Federico, for taking that on and working on it over this past week. It's great that they came in and actually asked us for that. So I really appreciate that we are doing that.
And again, if anyone wants to take a look into it and make suggestions, etc., that's great. And if anyone does make suggestions, obviously, I'll add people to the commits message in the PR. Just I haven't been very careful with that because it doesn't. I didn't think it mattered, but considering that some of the number of commits are actually a requirement for some aspects of memberships, etc. I'm keeping a closer eye on that.
Good question from Chris in the chat. Is there a link? Here is the link in the chat for the blog post, and I'll put that in the notes as well.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, and it's in the last meeting notes as well. And I will actually add it to the thread as well, to have a one-stop shop for everything.
The thread on the Slack, that's where I grabbed it from.
On Slack, yeah.
It's already in there.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Cool. So that was a call to action there, in case anyone missed it. If you are interested in blogs and interested in helping with this, you are more than welcome to go ahead and read the blog and provide any feedback that you might have. It would be most welcome. Any other questions, comments, discussion about the Fastly dl.k8s.io situation project?
Might I suggest we get someone from SIG ContribEx Infra to maybe suggest some questions?
As just a reviewer on the blog?
Yeah, like what benefit are we getting from their perspective? Because they can associate that with dollars and cents and like saving the project money. Having some kind of metric in there, I think, is good. Right? Like, how does this help?
Is Arnaud involved with SIG ContribEx Infra? Yeah,
he is.
So he's involved with this. He was one of the ones asking for it.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Is this what he gave you, or is this what you've got so far, basically?
That's what they gave us, Arnaud and Hannah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Arnaud and Hannah provided us with that draft.
Sorry. All right. I'll add some
All
questions
good.
here.
You weren't here for them being here. So any questions that you have, most welcome. It's an excellent point.
Yeah, and honestly, I've just asked for permissions like 2 days ago. So this is pretty much in the beginning in terms of the review. So add anything that you think it's useful, but still
Amazing.
quite, yeah.
Awesome.
Let's make sure that the blog post contains good information about how the change affects the project and contributors. It's a good point for review. All right. So we'll move on from that point. Are there any other questions or anything about it? Of course, feel free at any time. Next item was one I was starting to go over and getting on lots of tangents about, which was Avinash. Avinash isn't on today again, I think. Yeah. So what I was doing was trying to review why we're talking about that, because we have an events lead role because we needed that when we were figuring out our roles, because the SIG ContribEx group had a few like contributor focused events, like the monthly community meeting that we used to run, primarily that one. And we recently deprecated that. So there is no monthly community meeting anymore that needs communications work. There's also not really meet the contributors, which was a thing that we did at one point. There used to be like contributor office hours, which was kind of related to the meet the contributors thing. So there used to be a few like general contributor things that SIG ContribEx ran that they're just not running anymore because they just weren't very well attended. They were hard to run, lots of various considerations there. So all of the events have kind of dropped off. So we need to discuss at some point when Avinash is on what we want to do about that lead role. One thing that Chris and I were thinking about was maybe we ask Avinash to just look into being a lead shadow instead of being the events lead, and maybe we get rid of that role. We didn't talk about that part. We'll have to see what we want to do about that. But that is the review of why that element is on here.
all roles are flexible if they were created more than 6 months ago. It's kind of how I feel, right?
Even less.
Yeah, if we have proven that there's no need and we've documented that there's no need, then we can remove it and just document it in the PR and be done as far as I'm concerned.
Or if the need has changed and shifted, we can always do that.
Right. Like we need to adjust the role book. Fine. Either way.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Lots of the folks on today are newer folks who don't have a specific lead or shadow role yet, I think. So if anyone is interested in shadowing a lead role, always just reach out to the lead and let us know. And if you see a gap that you want to talk about and ask if we need leadership in that area, always more than welcome. So with that, I'm going to move into new items. We can always talk about roles more later. Anything is open for discussion at any time. All right, new items. There are a couple of active PRs going on right now, which thank you for doing these things. FICA created one this week. I think that was created this week, 4 days ago, I think it said, which has some typo fixes in the blogging guide. Federico has looked at that. And you can, I knew that question was coming. So thank you for asking it, Yash, in the chat. Let me grab that. Chris, could you grab the link to our repo real quick? Is it at the top, actually?
Stand by.
Thank you. Oh, it's here. I've got it, actually.
Okay.
Here is where you can find, that's better.
Yes.
Oh, this is not it at all. Go with the one Chris said.
If you want a link to the project board, that is here. Oh, crap.
We needed the link to the roles, which is just on the main page.
Yeah, then you're good.
Yeah. So the link that Chris posted in the chat is where you can find the list of all of the lead roles that we have in our group. Just let us know if you're interested. Anyway, back to what FICA was doing, which we really appreciate. Created a PR to fix some blogging typos, and Federico has reviewed it. I looked at it. Pretty much looks good. There's just one thing that needs fixing. I think that'll be good to go. Right, Federico and FICA? Sounds good.
This is the recent correction, right, of the typos in one of the.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's already merged.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
16 minutes ago.
Amazing.
Boom, done.
I went back in time just to make it work.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
I went into the portal with Ant-Man.
Cool. Anything else you wanted to say about it, FICA?
Yeah, no, nothing about this one.
Oh, I couldn't hear you there.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, can't hear you.
I said no, nothing about this PR. I did have a lot to speak about the ContribEx blog though. So I think we'll take that later.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we'll talk about that when we get to the table. Cool. So we'll move on from that one. We'll talk about the spotlight that you're working on in the table. And the other active PR is Sujay is working on one where he found several spots within the K community repo that need text updates from upstream marketing to contributor comms because we changed our group name. So I've been helping to review that. Sujay on? Nope, not even on. Oh yeah, he said that he wouldn't be on. But thank you to Sujay for finding more places that need updates. I had just a couple of comments for him on that. And it should be moving along. If you ever see upstream marketing anywhere, that's supposed to be us, and we should fix that.
Yes. If you see marketing anywhere, and it's in the calendar, I think, Caslin, by
Except
the way.
notes docs. That is one thing that Sujay found that I was like, actually, we don't need to update old notes docs. Those are notes.
Oh, yeah, those are notes. That's fine. But yeah, anything that says it, please try and fix it or let us know so we can fix it.
Yeah. Much appreciated. We appreciate having extra eyes out there on the repos to find them. Cool. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and move into the board. All right, let's start with in progress items, which kicks off with spotlights. We can go ahead and talk about the one that FICA is working on. FICA is working on one for SIG ContribEx, which is somewhere in here, down here. She's already got a draft of the questions and has already sent it to one of the co-chairs of SIG ContribEx. And I have not answered any of them yet. Things that I need to do for you, FICA, I need to add the other co-chairs to that doc. And I know you mentioned that you have exams coming up, so we need to try to be quick about that. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anything else you want to say about the SIG ContribEx spotlight?
Yeah, not anything, but is there a length that we need to follow for this blocks?
No, there's no length requirement.
Nope. We're talking about that, but there's nothing yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could have any length, right?
Yep. The goal really is to have fun learning about a different area of the project. It's really what these are, is an excuse to check out other spots in the project and have fun learning about them and help everyone else have fun learning about them too. So as long as you have fun. All right. So that's the update on the SIG ContribEx one. It is in progress. We're working on it. Other spotlights. Who wants to go next? Federico, Nitish. I know you're working on one. Federico, next. Let's go.
I can add one for the architecture one.
Architecture.
So this will likely be more than one. Potentially it can be a series of 4 or 5 because
Nice.
So I've started to get some answers from the sub-project leads. So as I mentioned last week, we're targeting to do something more aligned to different areas of the SIG architecture. So for example, one for production readiness, another one for codes, another one for enhancement. So there are like 5 relevant sub-projects with specific leaders there, and I've reached out to all of them, and some of them have already reached back. So obviously, maybe we will not go into like an in-depth multi-page question and answer for each one, but altogether, I think it's a bit too much for one article. So in the end, we can just look at the content that we have and decide if we want to have like 2, 3, 1 per sub-project, depending on the number of answers. But that one is progressing.
Excellent. Thank you for updating your issue on that.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm excited about the use of the issue. I think it's pretty cool. Maybe we should do that more often.
Yeah.
Also, Nitish, I know you were asking about this for the release team. You were wondering if you should split it up into 2 articles about the different sub-projects. And we were saying, maybe. Here's an example.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. So Nitish, you want to go next?
Yeah, I actually started drafting with the questions for the SIG release as well. It went pretty much slow because of the exam schedule going on. So node and release are the Spotlight blocks that I'm currently working on, and it's going a little bit slow, but I'll make sure I keep the work on the time.
Perfect.
Your education comes first. Remember that.
Always. And it looks like we don't have the spotlight on SIG release tracked here in the board yet.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and add that for you.
Wonderful.
And I also wanted to ask one thing, like in the previous meet, Kathleen mentioned about that when she planned for the writing a spotlight block, she thought of putting some nice diagrams, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Right. But how do we actually plan on to contribute effectively to a particular documentation or a block at one place? Because I'm not sure how can we contribute together on a one separate document.
Gotcha. So it also gets kind of tricky with at least the last time I did it with illustrations, because illustrations have to go into like a different part of the repo. They're like in their own folder. So it gets kind of weird. But as far as the collaboration goes, it's not too difficult with the way that we have our blogging process set up. The way we usually do blogs at a high level in a nutshell is you write your draft in a Google Doc or with HackMD, which is a tool for writing in Markdown and collaborating in Markdown. So you can then share those drafts either in HackMD or in Google Docs with the other folks you're collaborating with, and you all can just edit in there. And then once you think it's pretty much ready to go is when you create the PR. Because if you create a PR when you have like your first draft, the PR becomes a mess because you have so many edits and things and you're going back and forth. Slows things down way too much. So we use either HackMD or Google Docs to do the collaboration. And then once it's pretty much ready to go, you do the PR. So we'll be able to collaborate.
This is
way.
actually extensively documented in that process description, right? Even up to when and who opens the PR. There's some obviously leeway there. Some time ago, we moved into a more centralized model in which myself or some other person would open the PR, adding everyone as a co-author there, just to avoid having PRs without the necessary content. Obviously, we can. It's not written in stone, right? PRs can be opened by anyone, but do read the guidelines. They provide some examples on when to use the Google Docs, when to use HackMD, when to go from one to the other. But in the end, before opening the PR, you should have an HackMD file, which is like exactly like the file that will be added, and with that at least we can internally take a look, not only content wise but also in terms of the formats, etc., and then we can decide when to open the PR.
Nice.
I don't know that guide actually has any info on illustrations or if that stuff has changed, so this might be an opportunity to update the blogging guide.
Should be
Maybe
something somewhere about mermaid, and then we can always like do an image, right?
What is mermaid?
Yeah,
I mean,
So
it's mermaid.
Mermaid JS has been implemented. I don't know if it's implemented on the contributor side. Federico, you might know.
Nah, no, I don't know. I know that Tim mentioned that for the website, that we could use mermaids for text-based diagramming on articles, but I can check that though. I'll ask.
Yeah, and if it's not there, I can totally figure out how to put it there, and we can make that happen. Just create an issue and tag me in it. If Tim says nope, not there. Actually, I could probably find it probably faster than asking Tim. Hang on.
Thank
Watch
you,
this.
Sandipan, for finding the link to the
Yes.
tool.
Thank you so much.
Interesting.
Oh, dear God, I haven't pulled this repo in a long time.
Oh, I was also going to try and find the link to the blogging guidelines. That should be. um, oh, okay, that's the issue. When you try to use URLs to navigate GitHub,
Yeah. It's
how
hard.
did that end up taking me to contributor comms? I don't understand, but okay.
I wasn't watching, sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I was trying to find the blogging guide. Here it is. Just wanted to put that link in the chat. So Natish for the more detailed look at our blogging process. What are you trying to find now, Chris?
Oh, I'm looking in the contributor site to see if Mermaid's in there. I'll find it, don't worry.
We should put that link in the notes. Let me do that.
Yes, thank you.
So the thing with Mermaid is just that it's an interesting, free to use open source diagramming tool.
Yeah, it's unique, I would say, the syntax.
It's free to use in open source, right?
I guess
it's
it's
totally
like
open source.
using GraphViz, but
Right,
in
but
JavaScript.
easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it's in there. Improve with Mermaid diagrams. Like there's a whole article that went out about it on the contributor site in 2021.
Oh,
Okay.
Let's see where this takes us. Let me get the URL and figure that out real quick. Like the live URL. I think this should be it.
if you want to share the link to the contributor site blog, I'll put that in the notes as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like I got to figure out. All I want to do is search for Mermaid. Search for this site. Here we go. All right. I got it.
I also found it.
Ah, you're so fast. It's because you work at Google. That's why.
It's the Google foo.
You have supreme Google foo. Yeah, and you can see the code samples in here for these diagrams that they created. Really interesting stuff. So yeah, it's there. It's available. It's dope. If you want to use it, feel free. If you want to use something else and create an image to export, we can do that. No problem. Whatever works.
There was an
have a thing of drawing
existing
it.
file that gave suggestions in terms of royalty-free image banks. I guess it's still there, but not linked into the blogging guide. Maybe we should improve that, because I remember.
Yeah.
Not that I found anything, because sometimes adding an image just, I mean, it's like adding those PowerPoint clip art of people in ties. Doesn't really improve anything, but maybe I leave that to the authors. So maybe adding that would be useful as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mm.
I draw stuff, so I wasn't going to use any of these. I was just going to do it, but
Right. There's also that route.
Which there's also that. But it would be good to include some new stuff in the blogging guide about using images. It's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be super helpful. And then template, or just adding a link to this blog, I guess, at the very least.
Because I know when I did it for the Windows Spotlight blog, it was a little confusing to figure out like the images had to go over
Mhm.
here, whereas the text had to go over here,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
gotta name them right for them to be connected or something. It was
Hugo
weird.
is very interesting. But it's basically like, think of it as just like a regular web server that you're working on as opposed to a static website. So like you're trying to connect files relatively for better caching. It's weird.
Nitish also mentioned Excalidraw in the chat.
Oh yeah,
I've never used
that's
that.
a good one. There's draw.io as well. Yeah, there's a few things.
All right, noted.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone. That was a good discussion. Other spotlights that are in progress. Does anyone else who's on have a SIG spotlight that they're working on that they want to talk about? Arpit, I think you had one. Yeah, SIG CLI.
Yes, so I'm currently working on the first draft of the
Cool.
SIG CLI. But as next week is my exam, so they're scheduled, which maybe after next week I can send you the first draft. Because the whole next week is consumed by exams, so after the next week, I can dedicate the time to complete the draft.
All good. Like we said, your education comes first.
Mhm.
Whenever you have time, there's no time limit on these things. Though we do appreciate it when they actually get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I have a idea, like if we are talking about images, like kids have many different concepts. If we need to block them or document them, we can actually create stock images like diagrams. We can create a team for it.
Oh, like create a team within the contributor community that creates diagrams?
That would be
Diagrams
cool.
for the concepts, like if we want to, it's a simple thing, like if we want to deploy something on K8s and we need diagrams. Apart from if someone wants to write something, then we can create those diagrams and community can use them freely without any kind of copywriting, because they are official from K8s community. So
I'm sure Docs does a lot of this work. If we wanted to pursue that, we'd probably want to talk with Docs about how they do that work. I would assume that it's like the person who is writing that section of the docs, if they think it needs a diagram, they just do it themselves, is I'm guessing how that works. Then we could ask them if they have like a repository of all of those diagrams that we could make use of.
yeah, like if we can collect all the diagrams, then if someone else want to do that, that saves time.
Good point. Would be good to have past diagrams available.
Yeah.
In
Agreed.
one convenient, accessible place. Thank you. Good point. Right. That might be something that we should look into. Who should we ask about that, right?
The diagrams, SIG docs. I mean,
Yeah, just ping in SIG docs probably.
I would just ping in there and just be like, hey, we are trying to, think about diagrams for bigger things.
Yeah, where do you have your diagrams and could we use them for like blog posts and stuff?
Yes, and could we form a team that is good at making them to help out with blog posts? Or just a group of people that we could turn to. But that could be community wide, not just docs. So baby steps first, though. Where are your diagrams?
Yeah. And then what's your process for them?
Yep.
Those are the two questions I think we need to ask. Very good.
Wonderful.
Indeed. Cool. So that one's also in progress. Yes. Good luck to everyone doing exams. We've got several folks in here who are
Yes,
going
seriously.
through that pain. We feel for you.
Wish you all the best. I've never done that though, so
Ugh.
yeah.
I mean, you've done
aside from
something
high
similar at some
school,
point.
right?
Yeah.
I've, anyways,
We feel
I
for
did-
you.
I did not go the traditional college route. I got lost
Nice.
along the way.
Sometimes that works out for the best.
Mhm.
I won't dive into my very strong opinions about schooling.
Oh yeah, me either. Y'all don't want to hear that rant.
I'm considering creating a podcast.
I would join that. Because
It's-
seriously, right? Like it's really, really focused here in Michigan because we have so many trades, like crafts people that actually need like specialized skills like CNC machinists and robotics engineers and all these other electrical engineers. And like, you don't necessarily need to go to college for that. You can go to a specialized school, learn everything you need, and into the market you go. And like bricklayers are making 6 figures easy nowadays. It's like, wow. So yeah, we're really seeing that here in the Midwest for
Interesting.
sure. Yeah. So I would totally get on your bandwagon.
Someone should make that podcast.
Yeah. One with
So many
time.
people.
Yeah.
Add it to the agenda, create a podcast. Actually, someone had asked about
Yeah.
not about school, but someone had asked about the our tech lead shadow, which
Mhm.
none of our tech folks have been on in a while. I still need to ping them about that. But our tech shadow had mentioned that he was interested in creating a podcast, like a contributor podcast. That has not gone anywhere. Sounds painful, honestly, but if
I
someone
mean,
wanted to put that
I
pain upon
have-
themselves.
I have spun up a podcast. I know how to do it. I know how to get it into all the places that they need to go. The problem nowadays is it's like very kind of siloed, right? Like Spotify gives you the easiest experience because they acquired a company called Anchor.fm, but there's no like wonderful open source way,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also the matter of the actual content, right? That
Right.
a podcast, I don't know, but it needs to be updated for people to actually follow it. So
Right.
it ends up being something that you can't just make and forget. And
Mm-mm.
then you start stressing with what will we say, and then it's.
Oh yeah.
I do like the idea. For example, of having a podcast. It could be like 15 minutes, right? But in which different people from the team would go into the highlights of stuff that's been done. But well, does this require a podcast? Perhaps not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
idea in theory, but I feel that we need something more specific for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah. Also, all the stakeholders involved that might get a little bit dicey at the higher levels. But Yash mentioned something very interesting in the chat, which is Twitter Spaces. I'm
That
one of the hosts of the
is
right.
ability, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah,
We
because
own
we
that.
have the
Yeah.
contributor comms channel. Never thought about doing Twitter Spaces on it.
No, not until just now, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's a little locked in, like I said, like it's kind of siloed, but it's public, right? Like anybody
Yeah.
can technically join.
You know who would be in
anybody
charge
can
of that?
listen.
You know who would be in charge of that? The events lead.
Yeah. Hmm.
Twitter Spaces. An interesting concept. Ready for co-hosting a space. Yeah, we need to ping Avinash, don't we?
Right.
Maybe we should mention that in the channel. Just like, hey Avinash, what do you think about Twitter Spaces?
Yeah. And I'm sure Bob will, like, his magical radar will ping and he'll show up and be like, rah!
Don't do it. Gonna get us in trouble.
But, you know, ask the question,
No.
see what happens.
He's
They can
not
only tell
usually
us
like
no. No, he'll be like, I strongly recommend you don't do that. Here's why, right? Like,
Yes.
or he'll be like, oh, interesting. Tell me more. And you're like, oh, we just thought of it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, we should discuss that more in the channel.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of folks do really like Twitter Spaces. We have folks who could run them.
Absolutely.
We'd have to figure out what kind of topics that we want to talk about, but
Yeah, we'd have to create like a content calendar, that kind of thing.
yeah. Which I
But
mean is
somebody-
kind of like the community meeting, but maybe it's a better format for that these days.
Maybe. I don't know.
I guess one of the considerations Bob might mention to us is the audience, because like the community meeting was on the contributor calendar. So you only got the invite if you were on one of the mailing lists.
Mhm.
But if we're on Twitter, it could be anyone. So that would change the content significantly from what the community meeting was. But it could
Right.
be its own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think someone made the really good point in here. No, I don't think someone mentioned it actually, but would be an opportunity
Arpit
to
said he
talk to
would
folks
do it.
who, yeah, be an opportunity to talk to folks who are interested in contribution, don't really understand it potentially. All right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Amazing.
Should I add that as a to do? It's just a thing we're considering?
Just investigate it at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that. Investigate Twitter Spaces. Added. All right. Anything else on that before I move on to more stuff in the table? We can always come back to it. Feel free to continue discussing in the chat. All right. Other stuff here. Zapier automation, which kind of a techly thing, but it's kind of Chris thing. So Chris.
So here's the latest, right? Like, I'm ready to do the thing. I have 2 different versions of Google Chrome. I have the beta and the Canary releases. One's logged into one Zapier account, the others are logged into the other, but I can't connect to Zoom or Drive myself. Someone else has to do that.
Is it me? Do I have to do that?
It probably is. I
The
could
list just keeps
show you
growing.
how later if you want. It's pretty easy.
Okay. Let's look into that.
Okay.
I'm gonna at myself.
That's hilarious.
I'm gonna talk about myself in the third person on a Twitter.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I love it. Good stuff. We track work however it works. All right, let's talk about that more later. I'm gonna add current status on here too, because there is an issue, but it's not like there should be a better way to link this existing issue to this. It's got to be a way to do that. But anyway,
If you just mention the number, like hit pound and the number.
oh,
thingy.
maybe try that.
Hope that works.
289.
Nope. Bastards.
Okay, comment. Nothing.
Stinks.
No, don't know.
Well, you could use
So-
Markdown and just put 289 and make it a link. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, it is a link here. This is a
Yes,
link
that
It's
is a
just not,
legitimate
like-
link. Yeah.
tied into it.
Hmm.
Like the other one, the SIG architecture one is like just the issue because we created the issue from the board item. It's weird.
Right.
I guess we might have to create a new board item that starts with the issue, maybe. Anyway,
Hmm.
so we have a Zapier account. YouTube is plugged in.
Yeah.
Still need
You
Drive and Zoom.
is that open in which repository?
That's a great question.
Contributor tweets.
Yes.
Weird
Because
one.
if to add something, you need to do
It needs to move, doesn't it?
the cardinal little thing, and then it prompts you for the name of the repository. Then you select contributor tweets, and then after that, you can start writing the name of the issue, and it should pick it up.
Nice. Today I
So we do
learned.
need to move that
I,
or not?
we can. We don't have to.
If we don't have to, then that's better.
Yeah.
G Drive, and what was the other thing that we needed connection to? Slack? Zoom. Sorry. Why do we need connections to G Drive and Zoom and YouTube?
To automate the publishing of, so you have to pull the thing out of Zoom and put it in G Drive, and then you can upload it to YouTube. You can't go direct, apparently.
Why do we need to do that?
To automate the recordings of the meetings to get published to the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Notice how neither one of us has to do that. It's automated.
Yes. Well, is it automated, or does the
It is
YouTube team
automated
do it?
under Nigel's account right now,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it just needs to migrate.
So we're doing YouTube teamwork, is what I'm hearing right now.
Which I think technically I still am a YouTube person.
really?
So
Huh.
yeah. I mean, I still have access to the channel. Mhm. I have to tell Max
those teams do.
never use Kubernetes' channel every time we log into YouTube.
Oh, scary.
I know, it's like, shh, I wish they really broke these out and didn't make me put everything under one account.
Oh yeah, that's awkward. Huh.
Mhm.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's like a different issue from this one though, because this one was about automating tweets from GitHub. It's like related,
And
but not.
all use cases. Yeah. So we should move it in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a separate use case. Maybe we should move this into a higher level issue.
Yep. And that's my bad for opening it.
I mean,
putting
that's
it.
good stuff to know. It's a good point.
Yeah, and like it's all laid out and it makes sense. It's just in Nigel's account.
Yeah.
Like all the automation for
Because
the
we were
entire
using
project.
Nigel's as well. Yeah.
Right. Like
It
I
is
moved
more than just us, this problem.
I'm not, I think I moved. Anyway, I gotta open them up and do all this stuff. Anyways, the Twitter automation should be moved, but the other parts, the accounts are needed. And like I
Oh,
can
there's
give
also
you a link.
There's also Zapier account management setup completion.
I've been known to create multiple issues for the same thing.
You did this 2 weeks ago.
I know.
No, like I think we talked about this in the meeting, and we thought this was a good idea.
Maybe we put this
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know what
good to
that's
go.
about.
Okay, there you go.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's the process. Like we should close the other one and just link to this one. How about that?
Okay. This is not an issue. It's just a board item.
Oh,
So I
damn it.
think that's
Okay.
done now, right? Just setting up the account. Well, I guess it's not. But we'll just use the other one.
No, the account is set up. So we'll use the
Yeah.
other thing and I'll create an issue and off we go.
Okay, I'll just move this to done.
Thank you.
Good.
Yay. So much stuff.
Oh, speaking of which, I did write up the service ticket for
Nice.
our buffer stuff. But then GV had told me to do it one way and I couldn't actually do it that way in the tool. So I asked him about it and he put a thinking emoji on my question and then never said anything else. So I guess I need to just post that the ticket. Because he asked me to like go ahead and assign it to them and I couldn't actually assign it or even mention them. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
like, and we were dubious about which section of the service ticket portal it should go in. So I was a little
okay.
dubious of it, but I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. Be like 10
So that's
issue,
another
just do
update.
it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Another item in progress. Update the contributor comms GitHub team. I thought about this a couple times this week, but it
Right?
was lower priority than other things.
Oh, well, I could do that. Oh no, I got this other thing.
Yeah. So in progress, it shall stay. Adding your notes about adminning to the documentation if there's anything else. I think it's mostly there. You just got to confirm that.
I just need to take the time to confirm it and
Yep.
find it all. That's all.
It's kind of low priority. It's going to sit here for a while.
Hmm.
Guidelines for sensitive end user impacting comms. Is that actually in progress?
You opened it
Oh.
last week. Did we? Bob
I
said,
think-
"Oh, steering handles that," and then we had another discussion. I thought.
I think I moved it because we're doing that work on the Fastly stuff. I figured this might come along with that. But maybe not.
Yes, this would be a good place to like figure out and document like whatever questions were asked after our first draft, right? Like Federico, help me out here, because I'm kind of loaded on medications. But the gist would be to create like an FAQ essentially from the questions we get as we start passing this Fastly post around.
Let's just see
And
how
at
that
some
goes.
point, I will want to tag Kat Cosgrove, the harbinger of all things deprecating or changing in the Kubernetes community, because she's just got this down pat, and I wish she was on our team, but she's not.
Got too many other things going on.
I hear you.
We do have 4 minutes left, so we could go on and on talking about that, but I'm going to move us along. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can go back to that in the channel if needed. So yeah.
Yes. All right, and I updated comments on that. And updating the blogging resources. Variety of updates are in progress. Loving that. I'm going to add a note to this real quick. Add info about image resources and how to use them. Okay. And to-do items. SIG API machinery is an available spotlight. New contributor workshop content, still waiting for GitHub workspaces. At what point do we give up on that? Not a question we should answer right now.
I still got to
we have 3
reach
minutes.
out to Peter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Craig Peters.
Craig Peters. Yeah.
That is a good idea. We probably should do that. We've got the SIG ContribEx meeting next week, so it might be good to do it before then.
Crap. Okay.
At least I assume we have it next week. Anyway, comms guidelines for sensitive security topics, kind of related, but this one isn't a security thing per se, so we'll leave that in to do. Retrospective on registry comms, if you want to do that, have at it. Notify comms team when a new issue is created. Maybe someday we'll figure that out. Slackbot is still broken, as it shall always be. Investigate Twitter Spaces. I love the end
We're
of the meeting.
supposed to fix things.
Overrated.
Right?
But we really should try to do that before the next KubeCon. Let's get past.
All right.
Let's get past everyone's finals, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
How about
This
that?
is a good summer project. Exactly. Speaking of, are we getting any mentees in ContribEx? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
I mean, aren't they all part of ContribEx?
Well, yes. We love them all, but yeah.
Also, Arpit, if you're still on, Nitish was asking about the spotlight for SIG CLI.
Yeah.
Might want to discuss that in the chat. We have 2 minutes left. Any last minute items that folks want on the recording?
Bring out your dead.
I feel like that was
Sorry.
perfect right there. It's good. I liked it.
I might snip that for later. We'll see.
1 minute left. I know folks were interested in talking about lead and shadow roles, so I think I'll go over that in this last minute that we have. If I can find the link. No. thought I could get to it.
I do need to drop. Sorry.
Okay, take
All
off.
good.
buddy.
Yeah, we'll talk next week. Cheers. Bye bye.
Thanks for joining. See ya. I wanted to go to the contributor comms repo. So this is the repo that we put in the chat earlier. New stuff? No. Okay. So here you can see at the top of the page, we have our leads. So Chris and I are the sub-project leads. That means that we lead meetings. We are your interface point for the rest of SIG ContribEx. We're kind of a buck stops here. If you need anything, we're here for you kind of role. I think a good process for us would probably be for you to be a different kind of lead before you apply to be a sub-project lead. Maybe we should make that a thing. I don't know. We're still figuring this stuff out. But our other lead roles are social media coordinator. I could use some help. I don't do a great job of that, honestly.
I think you do a wonderful job of that compared to me.
I appreciate that. Arguable, but I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Maybe for this group, definitely not in general.
I'm much better at
I
doing
have a
my
doubt.
own Twitter.
And then we also have our tech leads who are Imran and Atarva. So like the GitHub to Zapier integration stuff is under their purview. Any automation stuff is under the tech leads purview. We're a minute over now, but I still wanted to go over these real quick. The events lead, we talked quite a bit about that. That's Avinash. Frederico is our blogging lead. And then everyone else is what we call a storyteller. Someone who can write blog posts and contribute to our group in all sorts of other ways. So if you haven't added yourself there, you are welcome to add yourself here. That is a PR opportunity for you.
Yes.
And then emeritus is folks who have helped with our group in the past and have gracefully moved on, such as Paris and Matt Broberg, who were the leads before us. And by the way, sub-project lead is not an eternal role. We will be moving out of it someday. So you all
Probably
should
Kaz one
consider if
before
that's something you
myself.
want.
So yeah, we need to like think about this, folks.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Depends on how taxing being a co-chair is. Anyway, so now we're 2 minutes over, but I wanted to go over that for folks. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, YouTube, for watching. I don't know why you did that with your time, but good for you. I hope you got something out of it. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. See y'all around, and you know where to find us.